go ahead.
So there's 4 different sectors. Each officer that's working is in charge of a sector. When I was in patrol, and even now, I guess technically, my sector is 2. So that's pretty much everything from the south side of Red Square, basically down to Pacific down there. And then sector 1 is everything North Campus, so everything Red Square and up. And you can kind of see the breakup by these lines. So that line, that's 1. In here is 2. Everything basically west and east of campus is 4, and then everything west of campus is 3. What I was saying earlier about the campus is broken up into 4 sectors, and each officer is responsible for a certain sector. So mostly what we try to do early on in the morning are check all the buildings that aren't open yet to make sure that there's nobody in there, because we get a lot of like homeless people and stuff that'll go into buildings when they're open and then stay overnight. So we go through, clear them out, make sure nobody's in there, so when people start to come in during the day, they're not calling us and saying, hey, there's this suspicious person in the building. Then when the buildings actually do open, we go around and we do building checks, and we meet with the building coordinators and ask them, like, hey, have you been seeing anything suspicious in your building? Do you have any concerns? Are there any issues going on that that's happening or whatever? Just kind of check in with them to make sure, because lots of stuff go on campus that we don't even know about until like weeks later, when it's like, oh yeah, there's a guy living in the walls, he's been here for months, but we just didn't think to tell anybody. We kind of get that quite frequently. So we kind of go out of our way to kind of engage with them and talk to them first to kind of say, like, hey, is there anything suspicious going on, anything weird going on? And then it usually kind of jogs their memory, like, oh yeah, we had a bunch of computers go missing a couple of days ago, or there's a guy that was kind of sneaking out the back door when I came in the other day and I didn't call because I didn't think anything of it. What should I do in that situation? Usually it's just call us, even if they're leaving or whatever. Give us a call, because we want to identify those people and make sure they're not doing anything negative or bad on campus. And if they don't have a Husky card, then kind of saying, hey, you don't have a Husky card, have you made some type of reservations or plans with the university? If they say no, then you got to go. Like, you can't just camp out in here or hang out in here. These are for the use of people who have gone through the proper processes to be able to use them. Signs give us the ability to establish intent, right? So let's say your building has a policy that says only faculty, staff, and students can be in there. And let's say I walk in there, but there's no signs whatsoever telling me that. If you call and I contact that person, I say, hey, what are you doing in here? And they say, oh, I'm doing whatever. And I say, you're not supposed to be in there. Their first excuse is going to be, well, where does it say that? How do I know that? Right? So it just gives them that public information, kind of knowledge sort of thing, to know, hey, you should not be in here, which allows me to be able to enforce it easier, because from the law enforcement side of it, I have to be able to justify everything I do. By giving them that knowledge up front and them violating that, I can go back and say, no, there was this sign clearly labeled before they even walked in the building that said they weren't supposed to be in here. Now I can take action on it. Now I can cite them criminally for trespassing or whatever. It gives me more justification to be able to take action after the fact. So there's no question about what they can and can't do. That's why those signs are good, because it lets you know what you can. Just like in the parking garages, you'll see signs that say no skateboarding, that type of thing. So when we go in there and people are in there skateboarding or doing tricks on the walls or whatever, we can say, hey, there's like 5 signs before you even got down here that told you can't be skateboarding in here. We can take enforcement action way faster than saying, like, hey, did you know you can't skateboard in here? And then being like, well, no, I didn't. Then it's just kind of like a warning at that point in time, and it allows us to do our job more efficiently. No, that's just so I guess we can pull it up and actually see if there's any call notes in there. I guess somebody's looking at a body at the morgue.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I think that's Probably the hospital. Oh no, there's units going over there. So I don't know if that's because if there's ever like a death at the hospital for whatever reason, we have to go out and do an investigation on it. So I don't know if somebody died and they're just standing by in case if it's suspicious, I guess maybe. But yeah, it looks like they're at the morgue. So we have a whole criminal investigative unit that does those types of things, that do more follow-up on cases where we can't necessarily do them at the patrol level, or like felonies and stuff like that. They specialize in those types of things. It definitely brings more crime to campus. Our total property crime from 2016 and 2017 has gone down, but we definitely get a lot more burglaries and that type of stuff because you know, they're really hard to secure. I mean, you scale a fence, you're in there, you steal copper, tools, you know, whatever while you're in there, and then get out. We have a lot of mechanisms in place to catch those. So they put up security cameras, they put up motion sensors, that sort of thing. And they usually have like a security company monitoring those 24/7, or at least when the construction sites are closed. And they'll call us and let us know, you know, like, hey, we saw a person jump the fence, you know, we saw him enter the construction site, and we'll go out and we'll kind of clear them, make sure there's nobody in there, make sure they didn't steal anything. If we catch them, we identify them, and usually they'll get some type of charges put on them, whether it be burglary if we catch them in there stealing stuff, or if they just jump the fence and we're in there hiding out or smoking or doing whatever it is they want to do in there, just like a trespassing sort of deal. They're union cars, which is this is the union sector. It's not just the Ave, right? It's the entire portion of this part of the city. So sometimes the union cars have to go as far as like Northgate and stuff like that. So if there were to be a call here, usually we're the first people to respond to it because we're in such close proximity to it, because they could be up at Northgate Mall dealing with something and get a call down here and have to come all the way down here in rush hour traffic, whatever. We're right next door, so we'll probably get here first. So we just kind of patrol it just to supplement what they do, kind of give that visibility so people don't think like, oh, we haven't seen a cop in, you know, an hour or two, now would be a good time to rob the bank or steal from a store or something. They see us and they're kind of like, oh, all right, well, cop car just rolled past, probably should watch my P's and Q's sort of thing. Welcome to Kincaid Canyon. Where you at, Akeem? Probably all the way up there. So this is kind of an area where we get a lot of homeless encampments and stuff. So actually, well, we'll start down here. So this is all maintained by the University of Washington. So you can't camp on campus, so it's considered campus. But what we get frequently are people who don't know that, because they don't really know. It's not like we have lines that say where campus starts and stops. And so we use this as an opportunity to make contact with people who are down here. You know, like this was a big camp a little bit earlier in the year, and we have a person that goes out and basically cleans them up after we kind of contact them and say, hey, you know, you can't be camping on campus, it's considered UW property, you know, you got to go or whatever. So like all this area over here used to be just filled with like needles and stuff like that. We use that as a time to educate them on what they can and can't do, and then we use it as a time to do like social work type stuff. So we offer them resources. We say, hey, are you connected with a shelter at all? Do you know where shelters are on the Ave? Things like that. Do you know about drug and substance abuse programs? You know, whatever it is that they may need. We try to give them as much resources as we can. So you can still see, you know, clothes and stuff like that. But I mean, this was filled with stuff. even just a few months ago. It looks like he's come through and he's cleaned it all up. So we get a lot of stolen bike parts and stuff back here. I think that's a projector. I don't know what that is. I found laptops back here, all kinds of stuff. So it's just an area we try to keep out and look out for in case if things start to go missing, or we got sketchy people that come back here and do stuff. So, but yeah, I guess we're done. He said he was still back here, but I guess he was on that side. So.
Dispatch has been up.
So you always check on 911 hangouts even if they come back?
Even if they come back and say we're fine.
Is that just rare events they're under duress or something?
Yeah, it's usually a rare event. But we'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
So. Sorry, sir. How's it going? How's it going?
I'm good. Sorry.
No, you're good. What's the last four in your phone?
3646.
331. Can I get the last four? So you're good?
Yeah,
you're fine?
I'm fine. I'm sorry. I was trying to call long distance.
No, you're fine.
I messed up.
Copy, confirm this time. All right, we're just checking on you, make
Okay.
sure that you're good. So.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. It's just for those, somebody, it happens all the time. You press 9 to dial out. So people that usually are trying to call long distance will accidentally press an extra 1 or whatever, and that's how we normally get like our 911 hangups. Now, if that had been a situation where somebody pressed 911 and we call back and they don't answer the phone, it's a different type of response. I probably get here a little bit faster than that. I probably go lights and siren because I don't know. But for that, when we call them back and they're like, hey, I was trying to call, I was trying to call long distance, or I accidentally called 911. We just show up and just kind of say, hey, are you okay? That sort of thing. We don't want to freak them out, but usually the dispatcher will let them know, hey, an officer's going to show up anyway, just to check on you.
Yep.
So don't be surprised if they show up. So that's kind of is what it is. How's it going? Good.
This is moments on North Main Springs Park area.
Area check.
Dispatch received.
Come through here, make sure nobody's in here camped out. looking at cars,
Wait,
pulling on
check
car
your
doors, that sorts of things.
mails, true, I'll get a customer and
Driver and stop have a felony warrant. Everything's under control with their B unit. Building to come assist me with it.
2 Boyd 11, I'll straight halfway, 4400 block of Brook Avenue North.
What was that?
Guess they did a traffic stop and guy had a felony warrant. I would say that's probably our number one thing we arrest for on campus is probably just that, other agencies' warrants.
213.
Because we just get a large population of those people that wander on the campus, usually looking to hide out or camp out or whatever, and they consider this to be a safe space to kind of come and hide out, I guess, kind of blend in with the students and stuff like that. And so a lot of times when we catch people that are out camping or doing something they have no business doing, a lot of those times they usually have warrants from other departments, and then we usually handle them as we get them. So the way that we police is very different than the way that other police departments police, and that's just because we're very community policing focused. So a lot of what we do when we're interacting with our community is education, outreach, that sort of thing, a lot less in terms of enforcement. And then the majority of the enforcement action we end up taking are for people who have no affiliation with the university whatsoever. So those people that are here that are camped out or in crisis or just trying to take advantage of our students by stealing stuff, that sort of thing. That's the majority of the people that I have to have negative interactions with. I have very few enforcement negative interactions with our students or our faculty and stuff, and that's just by virtue of, again, they have an investment in this campus, so they're here to learn. They're here to teach, they're here to gain knowledge of some type, so they're not here trying to, commit crimes or, do that type of stuff. The majority of what we do deal with probably with students and stuff like that is usually like kind of drinking related, so it's like underage drinking, that sort of thing. And again, we look at that from a holistic perspective of that's kind of the mentality some people take when they go to college, and it's a learning experience, right? Like, we all make mistakes, we all do whatever. We look at it from, why are you drinking underage? Is it because you're just trying to gain the party experience? Are you having stress because of finals or your classes, or are you having trouble at home? And then how can we get the resources you need so that when you leave the university, you're not continuing that type of behavior? So that's kind of how we look at it. It's not like, oh, you're underage drinking, we're going to give you a ticket, right? It's like, we want to figure out why you're doing this and what we can do to help you. Now, if we're catching you drinking, 3-4 times, a month, and you're out fighting people and breaking stuff and setting couches on fire, that's a different sort of thing, right? At that point in time, we might have to take enforcement action on that sort of thing. But for the most part, your everyday just sort of, somebody's drinking up, in the Greek system, or they're drinking on the Ave or something like that, and we interact them, on campus or whatever. We're just checking to make sure that they're okay and their well-being is looked after, and then, we're documenting it, and we're just kind of letting, student conduct take it from there. We try to keep those sorts of things more in-house and take care of them. So that's kind of how we focus. Whereas like maybe SPD or somebody else, if they catch you on the Ave underage drinking, they're just going to be like, what, that's a ticket. You know what I mean? It's easier to do that and write the paper for it then. And then they don't have the resources we have. They don't have a student conduct board. They don't have deans or the ability to reach out to people's parents the way we do. So again, we have way more tools to be able to steer people in better directions to change their behavior, rather than just fining them and having them pay more money and putting them through the criminal justice system. That's the last thing I want to do, is put somebody through the criminal justice system that I don't have to. I'd much rather get to the root problem than just kind of bury it by taking them to jail. It just seems stupid to me. It's part of Sector 2 is the libraries. So I usually like to pop my head in here, talk to the front desk people. Get out. Thank you. How's it going? The Daily's doing a story, so that's why they're here.
Hello, Daily.
How's everything going?
Good.
Good?
Yeah.
Are they still tearing up in here? Have you noticed like it calming down a little bit in terms of
Seems like it's
calming
better.
down?
Yeah.
Have you seen the cadets when they come in the evening to do their walkthroughs and stuff? I know we usually do it around like finals week and stuff like that, but
I'm not here at that time.
oh, you're not? Okay. All right, cool. But that's good. So at least you're seeing a decrease in the amount of thefts that are being reported to you.
So far, yeah.
Good. Well, let's keep it that way,
I
right?
hope so.
So yeah. All right, cool. Well, yeah, I just want to check in on you, see how everything's going, make sure people know that we're here, and
We appreciate that. Yes, that helps a lot. I think it's a big deterrence when there's a presence. So.
okay, awesome, cool. Well, let me know if you need anything else. All right. Have a good one.
Thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely. I'm your sector officer, so I was just checking. Make sure you're all doing good. How you doing?
Look at me.
How's everything looking good? About coming up to you saying my backpack got stolen. All right, cool. Good. All right. Yeah, we just wanted to check in on you all, make sure you're doing good. If you have any issues, and if you do have any, feel free to call us.
Is the PR person with you, or?
Yeah, so that's the daily. So they're just doing like a day in the life sort of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right, like I said, let's not do anything, okay? All right, have a good one. And that's pretty much it. We go, we make contact with the front desk. Hey, have you been noticing anything weird? Any odd people coming in and out? If they say no, I'm good. We're doing something right. And if they say yes, then we kind of just deal with it. Usually a lot of the people that we frequently get that are causing disturbances in the libraries or in the hub, we already know about them. So we just kind of keep tabs of them and see are they ramping up, are they ramping down, where are they hitting, why are they hitting, and then we try to make contact with those people and make sure that if they're banned, they're staying off campus, and if they're trespassing from certain buildings, they're staying out of those buildings and not kind of causing havoc or issues for other people. So that's kind of how we do that. But
What causes someone to be banned?
a number of reasons. Usually anything that's criminal in nature. So if we catch you stealing on campus, you can't come back. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to tolerate that. Anything that's felony related. So if you, like, God forbid, rob somebody on campus or off campus, just off, you're going to get banned. And they happen to be like one of our students or something like that. You're not gonna be able to come back. People that make threats against professors, other students, that sorts of thing, they'll usually get, if they're a student or a faculty member, they'll get some type of suspension, and they'll have to go through a hearing board or whatever, and if they decide to ban them for that reason, they'll do that. If you get trespassed from like every building or like a good majority of them, like let's say, you get trespassed from Savory, and then the next day you jump to Gowan, the next day you jump to Kane, and there's just this cycle of you continuing to cause disturbances in the building. Well, you're not doing anything to better yourself, so ban. Like, you can't come back until you at least do something to show us that you're actually here for a specific reason, and you're not just here just trying to, again, take advantage of our community members. We also have, so what we're starting to roll out now is we have a bunch of bait bikes. And so what we're going to start to do when I'm working with transportation is to start to put out signage at bike racks and stuff, letting people know that we do have bait bikes out. Mm-hmm. And if you choose to come on campus and you think that you're going to start stealing bikes and stuff like that, just be mindful that we do have bait bikes out. And at any point in time, you're probably going to you're probably going to catch one of them.
So are they just GPS tracked or?
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're GPS tracked, geofenced. So as soon as they leave that geofence we put up, it alerts us, it tells dispatch, and then we're on it. So we do have those around campus, and I want people to know it because I want them to know that you're going to get caught. We're not playing. We don't mess around when it comes to that sort of thing. So that's probably like our number one is those type of property thefts, those bike thefts, those bike park thefts. If you're going to have a bike on campus, make sure you're investing in good security for it, and make sure you're registering it with us through Bike Index, because if it does get stolen or somebody takes it or whatever, and you haven't registered with us, or you haven't captured your serial number, you don't have pictures of it, the chances of us getting that back are pretty slim to none. Honestly, it's going to be slim to none without that information. So we try to say, make sure you're at least locking it up right, and then make sure that you're registering it with us, because we want to be able to at least try and catch these people when they're doing it.
They didn't want my help at all. So.
Oh, was it like a fender bender?
Yeah, there's no even damage to either vehicle. They didn't want my help. So they said we're good. We're good. Alright. Yeah, inspired by yeah, they didn't want my help. So.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. It's very beneficial, and I've been on a few. There've been a few times where he's actually been like kind of the shift supervisor for the day, and so like he'll be in the field with us, riding around and responding to calls with us. The biggest one I can think of, and as recently, was when he came. We had a call at Savory for trespassing, sort of like the homeless people set up camp in there, and he came over there and saw like how we were dealing with those situations, and that changed a lot of the policies around that, because he actually saw firsthand that we were literally walking in, and basically if the building was open during business, they could do whatever they want. And even he was like, that doesn't even make any sense. And we were like, yeah, but that's the policy, that's kind of what we've been doing. And he didn't know that, because he's so far up there that he's dealing with so many bigger issues and stuff that he wasn't even aware that was even, that was even a thing. He thought we were just going in and telling people, if you don't have any affiliation, you got to go. And we're like, well, no, that's kind of not the way the policy is written right now, and this is the reason why. And he was like, well, that's crazy, we're changing that. So I think it's really good for when he comes out and kind of works with us, because it kind of gets him to see what we're doing, and he gets to see firsthand what works and what doesn't. And that's way better in terms of getting things done quickly than just writing a report or sending them something and saying this is why. I think it's really good when he is out there and kind of seeing it, because then he can kind of take that and be like, that doesn't make sense. We're gonna go ahead and change that. So I really enjoy it when he kind of comes out and rides with us. I think it's a good thing. He's super big into cooperating with other agencies, partnering with them. One of our supervisors actually, we're partnering with Eastern. He's sending one of our supervisors over there to help them with their accreditation process. They want to be accredited, and we've been reaccredited 5 times now. We're actually triple accredited. So we're accredited through CALIA. We're accredited through ICALIA, which is the international accreditation, and then we're also accredited through WASPIC, which is the Washington State accreditation. So we're the only agency in the state of Washington that's triple accredited. So for them wanting to do their first accreditation, they came to us because we're kind of the experts on that. And we're literally sending one of our supervisors over there for 6 months to literally help them get their accreditation processes in order. So he's more than willing to network with and coordinate with any department, that's willing to work with us. And I think that's a really good thing. We have not. I will say that we have definitely let that violation go by the wayside. But I will tell you that, at least from the perspective of what I want to do moving forward, now that I'm the community engagement officer, is we're going to start to reinforce that. Mm-hmm. And that's because of the bike shares. You know, when these bike shares start to put out these electric bikes eventually, and there's going to be people out, you know what I mean, going 25, 30 miles an hour on roadways and stuff like that with no helmets on. I mean, that is just way too much of a liability for yourself to be out there and not having that education to know that there's a reason why that is a law, a King County ordinance. That was put into effect for a reason. That's to keep people safe. So what you're probably going to start to see, at least I want to start this summer, is you're going to start to see a lot more education on that. You're going to start to see a lot more stops on that. You're going to see a lot of warnings early on. But then I'm hoping that come by, you know, this time next school year, we're going to have to start finding people for that. You know what I mean? Like you're going to get, you know, maybe the first couple of times, whatever, you'll get a warning for it. But if we're catching you out, you know, especially on these ride shares, you know, 4 or 5 times riding around with no bike in the middle of the street, on the sidewalk, places where you have no business being, we're gonna have to start, you know what I mean, enforcing those, unfortunately. And like I said, I hate to do that because I hate to put more financial burden on our students because they are paying a lot of money to go to school here. But at some point in time, we have to correct their behavior. And if me giving you warnings, me stopping to you, me talking to you isn't enough, then I gotta hurt your pockets, unfortunately. And, you know what I mean, if, you know, so it's just it's unfortunate that I have to do that, but hopefully, you know, through more education, like I said, working with because I'm going to be working with transportation services to put out, you know, educational materials and start giving talks on it, start giving presentations on it, you know, letting people know. I've already incorporated it as part of my freshman orientation materials, so when I go out and I give presentations to the freshman class that's incoming, and our transfer students, any new students really, that's part of my programming. It's saying, hey, we have a ton of, you know, ride shares on campus. If you're going to be bringing a bike on campus, you have to wear a helmet. But I will say that, you know, as of lately, we have definitely been lax on that. But now, with just the prevalence of bikes all around, I'm going to start to really encourage our officers to at least start contacting people and letting them know, hey, you're technically breaking the law right now. You know, you got to get that helmet on. So,
do you know how much the fine is offhand?
Not off the top of my head. I think it's maybe 55, 65, something like that. For some reason that number's ringing in my head, but honestly I don't know off the top of my head. But it's enough where it's not some cheap ticket that you can just, you know what I mean, it's not going to affect you anyway. It's a pretty good little fine. At least in my opinion. I don't have an extra $50, $60 just to be, you know what I mean, thrown to the wind just because I didn't want to wear a helmet. So